Hi, everyone. It's a ticket to Christ. Thank you for tuning back in. We are still talking about God, our defender. And I see a pattern a lot of times in the scriptures in terms of when God defends us, his children, that God will protect us from making bad decisions, and he will defend us in the midst of that protection. So if you would have made a bad decision and taken vengeance into your own hands or retaliated, God will block that, protect you. But then he will bring about the justice in due time that you would do. If you are, walking with him and you have a covenant relationship and within the call that he has for your life. And so we see this as an example with David. In 1 Samuel 25, from verse 2, it says, "And there was a man in Maon whose possessions were in Carmel. And the man was very great, and he had 3,000 sheep and 1,000 goats. And he was sharing his sheep in Carmel. Now the name of the man was Nabal, and the name of his wife Abigail. And she was a woman of good understanding and of a beautiful countenance. But the man was churlish and evil in his doings, and he was of the house of Caleb. And David heard in the wilderness that Nabal did share his sheep. And David sent out 10 young men, and David said unto the young men, Get you up to Carmel, and go to Nabal, and greet him in my name. And thus shall ye say to him that liveth in prosperity, Peace be both to thee, and peace be to thine house, and peace be unto all that thou hast. And now I have heard that thou hast sharers. Now thy shepherds which were with us, we hurt them not. Neither was there aught missing unto them, all while they were in Carmel. Ask thy young men that they will show thee wherefore. Let the young men find favor in thine eyes, for we come in a good day. Give, I pray thee, whatsoever cometh to thine hand unto thy servants and to thy son David. And when David's young men came, they spake to Nabal accordingly to all those words in the name of David, and ceased. And Nabal answered David's servants and said, Who is David? And who is the son of Jesse? There be many servants nowadays that break away every man from his master. Shall I then take my bread and my water and my flesh that I have killed for my sharers and give it unto men whom I know not whence they be? So David's young men returned their way and went again and came and told him all those things. And David said unto his men, Gird ye on every man his sword. And they girded on every man his sword. And David also girded on his sword. And there went up after David about 400 men, and 200 abode by the stuff. But one of the young men told Abigail, Nabal's wife, saying, Behold, David sent messengers out of the wilderness to salute our master, and he railed on them. But the men were very good unto us, and were we were not hurt, neither missed we anything as long as we were conversant with them. When we were in the fields, they were a wall unto us both by night and day, all the while we were with them keeping the sheep. Now therefore know and consider what thou wilt do, for evil is determined against our master and against all his household. For he is such a son of Belial that a man cannot speak to him. Then Abigail made haste and took 200 loaves and 200 bottles of wine and 5 sheep ready dressed and 5 measures of parched corn and 100 clusters of raisins and 200 cakes of figs, and laid them on asses. And she said to her servants, Go on before me. Behold, I come after you. But she told not her husband Nabal. And it was so, as she rode on the ass, that she came down by the covert of the hill, and behold, David and his men came down against, and she met them. Now David had said, Surely in vain have I kept all that this fellow hath in the wilderness, so that nothing was missed of all that pertained unto him, and he hath requited me evil for good. So and more also do God unto the enemies of David, if I leave of all that pertain to him by the morning light, any that pisseth against the wall. And when Abigail saw David, she hasted and lighted off the ass and fell before David on her face and bowed herself to the ground and fell at his feet and said, Upon me, my Lord, upon me let this iniquity be, and let thine handmaid, I pray thee, speak in thine audience and hear the words of thine handmaid. Let not my Lord, I pray thee, regard this man of Belial, even Nabal, for his name is, so is he. Nabal is his name, and folly is with him. But I, thine handmaid, saw not the young men of my Lord, whom thou didst send. Now therefore, my Lord, as the Lord liveth, and as thy soul liveth, seeth the Lord hath withholden thee from coming to shed blood, and from avenging thyself with thine own hand. Now let thy enemies, and they that seek evil to my Lord, be as Nabal. And now this blessing which thine handmaid hath brought unto my Lord, let it be given unto the young men that follow my Lord. I pray thee, forgive the trespass of thine handmaid, for the Lord will certainly make my Lord a sure house, because my Lord fighteth the battles of the Lord, and evil hath not been found in thee all thy days. Yet a man is risen to pursue thee, and to seek thy soul. But the soul of my Lord shall be bound in the bundle of life with the Lord thy God, and the souls of thine enemies, them shall he sling out as out of the middle of a sling. And it shall come to pass, when the Lord hath done to my Lord according to all good that he hath spoken concerning thee, shall have appointed thee ruler over Israel, that this shall be no grief unto thee, nor offense of heart unto my Lord, nor offense of heart unto my Lord, either that thou hast shed blood causeless, or that my Lord hath avenged himself. But when the Lord shall have dealt well with him, my Lord, then remember thine handmaid. And David said to Abigail, Blessed be the Lord God of Israel, which sent thee this day to meet me. And blessed be thy advice, and blessed be thou, which hast kept me this day from coming to shed blood, and from avenging myself with mine own hand. And we can skip down to verse 36. And Abigail came to Nabal, and behold, he held a feast in his house, like the feast of a king. And Nabal's heart was merry within him, for he was very drunk. Wherefore she told him nothing less or more until the morning light. But it came to pass in the morning, when the wine was gone out of Nabal, and his wife had told him these things, that his heart died within him, and he became as stone. And it came to pass about 10 days after, that the Lord smote Nabal, that he died. And we can pause, and you can read the whole, account for yourself. But what is jumping out at you so far? What stands strongly out to me is that Nabal would have known exactly what Abigail knew. So Abigail had an understanding that this was the Lord's anointed David, and that he would one day become king of Israel. And so how Nabal had responded to David's servant in, earlier in the chapter, verse 10, when he said, who is David and who is the son of Jesse? And that he was so derogatory. It was a big offense, and it was an offense he knew. So Nabal didn't have any fear of the Lord, and was just the type of person that even his servants couldn't talk to him. That's what the servants said. And so we see that David had a just cause in this. It wasn't that he was just coming up and saying, give me some food. It was they protected Nabal's men. They saw to it that nothing happened to them. But also I believe it's common that, for people to be generous during sharing time, and especially to people in need, people who are traveling. And so for Nabal to not only refuse to give them anything, but to denigrate them at that, it was a big thing. And so God protected David from avenging himself through Abigail, and she said as much, that we know that, God is that, you are the one that God chose to lead Israel. And so don't take revenge for yourself. And David, being wise, listened to her, took her advice. And then the next day, God struck him down, Nabal. God defended David. God struck him down. And, if you read the rest, Abigail eventually became one of David's wives. David initially was going to, take things into his own hands and revenge, kill all the males in the house. That's what they normally would do, kill all the males, take the women, take the spoils. But Abigail protected him from that. God used her to protect him and to prophesy and kind of reestablish God's intention for him. And then God himself defended David against Nabal. And, I think that the men with David would have seen the hand of God on David, his protection of David. And that also would cement the respect or their own faith, their own understanding of who God is as they look at how God dealt with David in his life, right? So God will do the same for you, not necessarily kill the person, but will protect you from taking vengeance for yourself or taking things into your own hands through maybe the advice of others or through maybe frustrating some plan that you had. But he himself will deliver you and defend you from those who come against you wrongly and roughly, who treat you with injustice in an unjust way. So that is my takeaway from this. I hope it's, bless you as you read it. It's 1 Samuel chapter 25. You could read the whole account and just really pick it apart and get a lot more from this, which will help build your faith in seeing that God looks at the very details of the things that happen to us, the narratives of life that come up as we walk out of life, as we obey him, do what he says to do. He will defend and protect. God loves you so much, beloved. Have a great day.